Well, I am in the Yakima, Washington area, and I've been through the Yakima area a few times, but there's always more to explore. So I will probably be in the Yakima and the Yakima Valley for probably about a week, but we're going to start out here in Yakima, explore this area. So I'm somewhat on the north end of Yakima at Harlan Park. And there's a little bit of a spur trail right next to Interstate 82. So beginning of this video is going to be a little bit loud because of the interstate, and it connects with the Yakima Greenway. The Greenway is split up into sections, but we'll explore the Greenway first, and then we'll go check out the rest of Yakima. So this first river that I'm crossing over is the Yakima River. The next river that I'm crossing over is the Natchez River, and it joins with the Yakima River just a couple hundred feet down from this location. Alright, I reached the main portion of the Yakima Greenway. This section of the trail seems to be the Plath pathway. I'm headed in a westerly direction, kind of away from the downtown Yakima area. So I'm just going to walk down to the train tracks and then turn around. I'll head back under Interstate 82, walk down that way a little bit, and then we'll head to a different section of the trail. I'm headed under Interstate 82 here. So now I'm on the other side of Interstate 82, and this is Rotary Lake. So I got to right here on the lake, and then I started walking back to Harlan Park. I was going to drive until I found another access spot on the Yakima Greenway. As I was walking back to Harlan Park, I realized that there was a chunk of public land that you could access between the Natchez and Yakima River. And it leads down to the junction here, what we're seeing, of the Yakima and Natchez River. So I figured I'd check it out. Alright, I'm moving along now, and I'm near what I believe is the Rotary Park and Ride. It's nice. Part of the Yakima River is right up against the trail now. Alright, I'm just a little ways down, and this is a Cascade Mill Pond. As I was walking along the mill pond, I noticed some paths, and I thought they just might be some social trails, but it looks like there are some maintained trails out here. They kind of go all over the place. Here's a spot where there might be a social trail more than an actual maintained trail. I haven't seen any spot that gets us right down to the Yakima River, and I'm also not really sure where I'm supposed to go here. I think if I go this way, I can get back to the Yakima Greenway. So all those dirt trails that I was just on, there was trails going everywhere, and it took me a little while to get back to the Yakima Greenway, but we're continuing on now. Alright, so next up on the Greenway we have this Sunrise Park, and it's kind of in a weird spot because there's no parking lots or neighborhoods probably within a half mile of this location. So there it is. Alright, we're getting into more of a built-up area of the trail now. The trail and the river never really locate close to downtown, which is kind of odd. You'd expect it to be a lot closer to the river. Well, next up we have the Sarge Hubbard Natural Area. It does look like there might be some trails down there, but it also looks like they've had a fire, and also this looks like a flood basin, so the trails kind of seem a little bit undeveloped. There also is the Sarge Hubbard Park, which is just behind me, so we'll check that out next. So they got this nice little park with a seating area. It looks like they almost have a stage out here on the lake. So we'll walk down there and check it out a little bit more. Yeah, this is kind of cool. They got a stage right here on the lake. So there's a trail that goes all the way around the lake. Here's a little more of the park. It's got some fairly wide open spots. So they got this gift train car from the French from 1949 here in the park, but I'm going to continue on. There's one last spot along the Yakima Greenway that I want to check out. Alright, so this is Sherman Park. There's not much to it, but this is the end of the Yakima Greenway, and I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. I think the Greenway in total is 20 miles. So we'll just walk down this a little bit and then we'll move on. Alright, I'm moving into the downtown area and I'm on Natchez Avenue. It's this nice boulevard that passes through the downtown area. As I had mentioned, the downtown Yakima area is not close to the Yakima River, which is quite different than most towns. They develop on a body of water. So it doesn't really feel like there's a defined downtown. All I can tell you is that the main drag is Yakima Avenue. Well, I've turned off of Natchez Avenue and I'm on Pendleton Way. It's one block over from Yakima Avenue. I think there's some shops, businesses, and attractions down this street. This is the corner of Pendleton and 3rd Avenue. Alright, I made it to the end of Pendleton Avenue and it makes a T intersection with Front Street. Looks like we had an old train station there. Alright, I made it to Yakima Avenue and I'm looking somewhat away from the downtown area. You can see all that industry over there. Yakima is somewhat of a hub for agriculture in this part of the state. Alright, I'm walking towards downtown Yakima now, and my plan was to walk some of the side streets as I continue down Yakima Avenue. I'm headed down one of the cross streets to Yakima Avenue. This is 2nd Street, heading towards Pendleton Avenue. There's a few shops and restaurants on this street. I'm still on 2nd Street here, but I've crossed over Yakima Avenue and I'm headed in the opposite direction. I'm one block down from Yakima Avenue on 2nd Street. This is Chestnut Street. I'm headed back towards Yakima Avenue on 3rd Street, and by this point I realized I probably should have just done a zigzag pattern, 1 block in each direction from Yakima Avenue. I'm back on Yakima Avenue headed towards Natchez Avenue, and once I got back out onto Yakima Avenue I just decided to continue to Natchez Avenue and not do any more zigzagging back and forth. Well, I'm back on Natchez Avenue, and since the downtown Yakima area is not really well defined, I just decided to head back to my van. The areas that I did check out were pretty interesting, but there's one last spot in the Yakima area that I want to check out. Alright, so for the last spot that I'm stopping at in the Yakima area, it's the Fullbright Park. It's actually in the town of Union Gap, just outside of Yakima. I've been in Yakima for several days, and the first day that I was here in the evening, I was driving around checking out different spots that I could film at, and I came across this park, and there's a few things going on here. There's an AG museum, and then there's this field which you're seeing now where they can fly model planes, but there's also some trails here that start at the park and they lead up this large hill. We might be able to get some good views of Yakima and the surrounding area, so here we go. All right, so here we go on the trail. Now, I could find very little information about this trail system, both on the Union Gap website or the Washington Trails Association website. Even some of these local trails, they'll have some basic information about, so we'll see what happens. But down off to the right is the AG Museum, or Agricultural Museum, which I might check out as soon as I'm done hiking on these trails. Alright, I made it to one of the summits, and as I swing around we'll start looking south away from Yakima. There's all sorts of trails and service roads up here. There's a bunch of communication towers, but I'm not entirely sure who owns all this land. You probably see a fence off the distance. This may be county, this may be state, this might be some private land with public access, but I honestly think that this is part of the Native American reservation, that being the Yakima Nation. They probably allowed public access if that's the case. Well, here's one last look from this little summit at the town of Yakima in the Yakima Valley. That's gonna wrap up Yakima. I want to thank you for watching.